Well, welcome back to Jaguar Mining's channel, a growing gold producer during this booming gold market. And joining to discuss the recent financial results, of course, Alfred, the Chief Financial Officer, joining us. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Kyle. Good to be with you again.
Always a pleasure to get you back on. So, firstly, let's dive into the recently reported Q4 year-end results and what were the highlights for this?
So, Kyle, we reported those results a couple weeks ago, and the highlight, the main impact is the impact of the slump of material that we had at our dry stack material at our MTL complex, which occurred on December 7th. And this incident resulted in the temporary suspension of production activities at the Termalina mine while we stabilized the facility. And so, despite this loss of nearly a month of production, we still had a pretty strong end of the year with a strong cash position. It was supported by strong gold prices. And so, excluding the impact of this incident, our adjusted earnings per share was 8 cents for the quarter and 39 cents for the year. And more specifically, in Q4, we produced 14,786 ounces. We sold just over 16,000 ounces, and so we realized a gold price of 26.41, and we had an AISC of 17.37 per ounce in the fourth quarter. So we had a positive margin above that gold, above the AISC of over $900. And so this is what helped us generate $5 million of additional cash during the fourth quarter. And and that cash, 46.3 million, and to end the year, we increased that from year-end 23 by over $24 million. So it was a strong result. Now, another highlight is that on the same day that we announced our Q4 results, we announced our MRMR update for 2024. And the big highlight there is that we added maiden reserves at our Onças de Pitangui project. We added 284,000 probable ounces to reserves. And so this really bolsters the economics of that project, which is only 20 kilometers in a straight line from our Termalina mill, and it's part of that complex. So the economics of that complex are really underpinned by that update in the MRMR.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all the insight on this. Now, do you want to provide a bit more of an update on that dry stackpile slump at the MTL complex and the progress toward kind of restarting the Termalina mine?
Yeah, sure. So we announced a very positive development a couple of weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago. We announced an agreement that was made with the public defender of the state of Minas Gerais for a compensation plan for the displaced residents, the neighbors there at Casquillo. And if all the individuals in that community accept the terms, then the impact will be approximately $10 million. And so this is an important first step that's executed now, which will go a long way to then completing the additional work to ultimately reduce the safety risk and satisfy the authorities and hopefully get a view to reopening. The negotiations of the other fines are also ongoing, and our position remains that the amount of the initial fines, which was really eye-popping, is disproportionate to the scale of the event. In particular, the fact that there were no reported injuries, there was no significant environmental impact, and minimal damage to the local infrastructure. And as I said, we're actively working toward getting all the approvals necessary to lift the suspension and to get back to work at Termalina as soon as possible. And that we're confident once it's operational, we will be well positioned for a strong recovery.
No, great. And finally, here last week, you reported Q1 production results. How was your performance at the Pilar mine, specifically during the quarter? And were there any other results investors should be paying attention to here or should focus on?
Well, we're focusing on our single operating mine, the Pilar mine, which had a year-over-year increase of 6% in production, but more noteworthy for us, a 15% increase in the grade year-over-year. And this really reflects the impact of this new BA zone that we began mining in Q2 last year, and that we're continuing to develop. We had great results with development, and so that will should fuel the additional production for later in the year for Pilar. Now, we also had during the first quarter our team at the Santa Isabel mine, which is part of our Paciencia complex. continued work on rehabilitation and on getting ready to start dewatering that mine. And so that will enable a test mining program that we have in our plans for the second half of this year. And that could have tons of ore from the Santa Isabel mine hauled to our Kaite plant for processing. And our cash position we did announce a cash position of $40.3 million at the end of March in that production press release, and that's $6 million lower than what it was at year-end 24. We had the payment of amounts that were accrued and payable from the year-end, which included a lot of the initial response costs for the incident at Satinoko. And so that really was what drove the $6 million use of cash. But we still ended up with over $40 million of cash at the end of March, which we're pretty happy about.
On that note, we'll pass it off to the viewers as always. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section and consider subscribing for news catalysts as it hits the wire like this. Of course, we'll bring it to you here. But on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.